Hey, welcome to Excel in Retirement Podcast, where we help good people make wise financial decisions so that they can excel in retirement. Your guide is David Treese, a financial advisor who shares his expertise to help you achieve greater peace of mind about your finances today and have the information you need to create a plan for your future so that you can excel in your retirement. I'm a host of the show, Andy Traub, and today, David and I are going to talk about the future. The future. One of my favorite shows, David, has sort of an alternative future. Different people get elected and different things happen, and what would happen? What would the world look like? And so we're going to talk about sort of an alternative future that might happen. So thanks for being here today.
Yeah, let's go. Sounded a little mystic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, spoiler alert. We don't know if this is going to happen, but it's probably going to happen. Which is what happens in a world where taxes go up. And
Yeah,
not by, and we won't say how much they go up by, but not by a little, but by a lot. So we're
right.
gonna talk about some really practical things that would happen because we know this to be true. It's happened in the past when taxes have gone up. These are just economic truths. When this goes up, this goes down. It's like a teeter-totter. It's like the your side is way up at the top. Where's the other side? It's at the bottom,
Right,
right?
right.
And then we're going to talk about some advice you have for people when they come meet with you about, hey, I want to minimize my taxes in retirement. What can I do? There's
Yeah,
solutions, and you're going to talk about those. Let's go
right.
ahead and start with this first one. What happens to people's working hours or their jobs, uh, their careers when taxes go up? So let's just say they went from the 20% tax bracket to the 30% tax bracket, one year to the next. How will that affect their work?
Yeah, you might have to work more hours to compensate for that. That could be one way to make more income to compensate for that, but then more of your money is going to taxes in that scenario, right? And so you've got that option. You can always work more, pick up a side job or something like that, or figure out a way to increase your income.
Yeah, and it's interesting for those if you're listening and you're thinking, I don't work at a job where I can work more hours, or I'm not. That's not how I'm. I can't go. Let's say if taxes go up 10%, I can't work 10% more hours. I just have a salary job, and the chances of them giving you another 10% just because, hey, my taxes went up. Can I have a raise? No.
Yeah. And this leads into what you could do next with cutting the spending. You could cut spending, but and that's kind of like what Washington talks about. Well, if we raise taxes, people are going to spend less money. So they're not going to go to Target and Walmart as much and Starbucks and all these other places and maybe not buy vehicles quite as much. And so that decreases consumption in the economy, which drives GDP down potentially.
Right. Yeah, yeah, you're right. The next point was that you could spend less because you have less. So if your expenses went up, meaning you have just less dollars, if you were bringing home 80 cents in the dollar, now it's 70, what are you going to not buy now? What are you going to not spend on?
Yeah.
But obviously the issue is that sends ripples through the economy because if you cancel your Netflix, there's less people that are going to have jobs at Netflix, right? It's that
Got
cascading effect.
we gotta watch out for Netflix for sure.
Yeah, I mean, not that I would ever cancel my Netflix, but
Yeah, yep.
I actually get it for free. So
Not oh,
I do.
interesting.
Thank you,
Uh,
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, oh, okay. I thought there was something nefarious going on there.
No, no,
No,
no, I'm not like stealing it from my parents or anything like that.
okay, okay.
No,
Okay. You don't wanna steal from 85-year-olds for sure.
no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, the other part to this, though, I think that is very important and to be well-rounded is we need our money growing. I mean, our money needs to grow to compensate for increased prices. And so, one way that we can get our money to grow is by having it invested, whether that's in the stock market or however it's invested. We need to have money productively growing so that it's not static and losing money to, inflation and so forth. And yeah, if we have a bigger pot of money, more of it would be taxed, but I would rather have a bigger pot of money being taxed than a smaller pot of money being taxed less. And so
Agree.
we need to really have a proactive plan for how we're going to invest our money to try to maintain our standard of living if it's possible.
Mhm. Oh, that reminds me of the story from our scriptures that you and I share and believe in.
Yes.
where, the the landowner who comes back and says, "Hey, I gave you this money. What have you done with it?"
Right.
And he gets really mad at the one who buried it in the ground and said, "Why didn't you at least go put it in a bank and get interest?" Meaning, like, you should have grown it I mean, even just a little, but now it's just the same, right? To do something with growing your money. So again, those 3 were first is you're probably gonna have to work more hours.
Mhm.
That's a byproduct of higher taxes. The second is you're gonna have less money to spend, so you're gonna spend less money. And another response, I should say, to higher taxes is to put your money to work, right?
Yes.
If you have less, then make it go work more,
You're
right?
right.
Make sure it's working for you at all, right? And growing.
Yes, absolutely. We need to have a proactive plan and we need to monitor that when we go through different phases of life. And just like when we're older, we don't go to a pediatrician, we go to a family doctor or something like that. So we want to go to we want to have a proper plan for what stage we're in life at that point. And so someone that's 25 probably shouldn't invest like someone that's 55. And so we need to have our goals assessed yearly so that it makes sure that we're in line with where we need to be. And if we leave things on autopilot for too long, we're just kind of depending on hope to hopefully it'll work out for us. And we don't want
Yeah.
to do.
So let's get really practical. These are things that you help people with on a day-to-day basis. This is your calling, this is your expertise. So let's assume that that could happen.
Mhm.
What could someone do right now? They're listening to prepare themselves for that reality.
Right. Most people that are saving for retirement are using some sort of 401k or a traditional IRA. And that helps you a lot right now because it lowers your taxable income and you defer the taxes into your retirement typically. And so that helps you today, but ultimately you are deferring those taxes into an unknown time. And if we were sitting in a room of 50 people right now and we said, raise your hand if you think taxes are going to go up, everybody in the room just about would raise their hand saying taxes are going to go up. And so it's super beneficial to use one of those tax deferred accounts. But if we could put money or some money into a tax free account like a Roth 401k or Roth IRA, it does not help us today with lowering our taxes today, but it helps us into the future because we have tax free growth on that money. And so positioning some of our money into a tax free vehicle would be huge and that helps lower our risk that taxes are going to go up in the future and perhaps we're less impacted from that at that point.
Ultimately, if you're hearing this or watching us, what you should feel when David says that, if you're in a good position, is you should say, and that's why I have my allocation there. If you don't feel that or think that, then you need to get it figured out. And that's why,
Right.
David, that's why you do this show. That's why
Yes.
you give this advice is if you believe that that's going to happen, then number one, if you believe taxes are going to go up, you need to have, you need to maximize those options is what
Right.
you're saying, right, David? I'm not saying that. I'm not an advisor. You are,
That's what I'm saying.
right? Okay. That's what David's saying. And the other is, um, it just makes sense. You're sharing. It just makes sense to have options of pulling from money that has already been taxed.
Yes,
Like,
for sure.
it's if I could have a dollar now be a dollar later or a dollar 10 later, I'll take it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You know?
That brings up the whole point with what is going on with the national debt too. And we were talking offline about this and how what is it 39.2 trillion the national debt is right now. And then the Wall Street Journal, which we can put a link in the show notes, said last week that the government is spending $1.33 for every dollar it collects in revenue. And so what does that mean? I mean, ultimately that means that every dollar that they're bringing in, they're spending $1.33. And so I ask you, what company or what household could operate like that? Do you know of any? I
Well, what
don't.
I do know is that companies operate like that all the time until they don't anymore,
Yes.
right? I mean, they are living on borrowed time, and the best way for you to make money or to survive that, if you're in that situation, is to close.
Mm.
Meaning,
Yes.
like if you're losing, it's like if you had a wound and you're bleeding. What's the best way to stop the bleeding? To
Stop the
close
bleeding.
the wound, right? But the problem is the government needs to continue to operate, but it doesn't know how to operate in the positive. It
Right.
hasn't done that since Bill Clinton.
Yes.
And that's not a political plus or minus to Bill Clinton. It's just that's math. The
Right.
last time we had a balanced budget, I think I was in middle school. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm 48 for those who don't know.
Yeah.
So I would say that, what David is trying to impress upon you is this is what's going to happen. We
Yep.
know this to be true based on economics. So David, if someone is thinking about the national debt and thinking about the government, um, what are the things they could do today if you're going to meet with them and they said, David, I'm really worried. What would some of the foundational things be that you would say, okay, if you're worried and you think that's going to happen, here's how I want to start to steer you. What would you say to someone that says, I'm in my late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, and I'm really worried Social Security is not going to be around. I'm really worried, taxes are going to go up. I'm really worried about all these things. What would you do to calm their nerves?
I mean, the other thing that's going to help everybody is having less debt payments. So, if you're talking to somebody in their late 40s, getting your mortgage paid off if you have one of those, and making sure that you don't have any consumer debt is going to go a long ways because you're going to have more income staying in your pocket as opposed to servicing those payments. And so that's one thing I would encourage anybody that's still working. And if we can go into retirement debt free, that is a huge aid with helping our long term success there. But adjusting allocations into Roth accounts is huge for folks that are in their 60s and they have built up tax deferred money. Creating a plan where we can systematically take money out of their IRAs and put it into tax free vehicles is huge because that can
Is
allow.
that complicated? Is that difficult for people to do?
Most
Uh,
people probably cannot manage that on their own, and a lot of people think that they can, perhaps, but there's several pitfalls. It's not. Here's my problem, Andy. I think that everybody knows. My default is to think that everybody knows what I know, and so I keep
yeah.
getting told that I don't know that, so or other people don't know that, so I should make it more simple. But it doesn't have to be, but it's just a matter of looking at your tax return and verifying with a CPA or accountant what your taxable income is and how much room you have in your current tax bracket, and then taking that money out and understanding what the tax implications would be for that additional income that's coming out from the IRA to put it in the Roth account and doing that. And it's one of those things you have to look out yearly and understand what your expenses are and your income is every year because that can change. And then you've got some considerations with Medicare and how your Medicare premiums can go up based on your income. So we want to be cognizant of that also.
Yeah. It reminds me of like, could I hike a mountain by myself? Yeah, I could. Is it a good idea? No, it's not. It's
Right.
it's not. What are
It's
your
just
chances of success with a guide? Much
right.
better,
My
right?
father-in-law and I, we wanted to go fly fishing. I'd always wanted to go fly fishing. I made it a goal in 2013 to learn how to fly fish. And I used to write my goals down on a little card and keep them in my wallet. And I had never done that. And so I saw that card a few years ago. And so we found Aaron, and Aaron is a fly fishing guide. And Aaron said, meet me at this place in the mountains. And we met Aaron. He had the waders, the gear, the rods, and he knew exactly where the fish were going to be. And he had us catching fish in less than a half an hour.
Jeez.
And I could have spent, it would have taken me a couple hours researching that and then going to the store to buy all the stuff and then standing in that cold water for the good Lord only knows how long to be able to catch that fish. But he was able to take something that would take this long and make it like
Right.
take that long, you know? And so
Yeah.
that's the benefit of having a guide to guide you through that. If you have the capacity and the time to deal with that much, then go for it. But most people are going to get frustrated or procrastinate because they don't know the next right step. And
Yeah,
so
the other pitfall or problem of that is if you don't do some of those things right, it can you can get a bill, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so so you
And I
know,
hate
and the IRS is not always great about, um, being flexible, period,
we
at
just
the end of
we
the sentence.
Yeah, we just did this episode on communication and advisor communication. They're not always the best at communicating with
Well,
you with that. So yeah, you want to be
for all
careful.
kinds of reasons, some intentional, some not, I think, right?
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Yeah, yeah, I know someone recently got in some tax trouble, and, by letter of the law, the IRS did not do anything wrong, but by the
Mm,
spirit of the law, they absolutely did not help this person help themselves, it's like literally watching someone wander towards a busy street and you say nothing, you
yeah.
know? And it's like,
Right.
"Well, they shouldn't have been walking towards the street." It's like, "Okay, you coulda warned them," you know? And so again, I say that to say this, David wants to help you navigate those things, and unless you feel amazing about them, you need to have a conversation. So please reach out to David. You can go to excelinretirement.com to join his newsletter, and then a contact email will also be in our show notes. We don't know what's gonna happen with taxes. We just know that, when you spend $1.33 and you make $1, um, that's a problem, and that's America right now. So, if you live here, you gotta deal with that. So, David, thank you as always for your wisdom. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Clients excel in Creative One Wealth or unaffiliated entities. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and do not provide tax or legal advice. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Licensed insurance professional. Insurance and annuity products are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Investment advisory services are provided in accordance with a fiduciary duty of care and loyalty that includes putting your interests first and disclosing conflicts. Insurance services have a best interest standard, which requires recommendations to be in your best interest. Advisors may receive commission for the sale of insurance and annuity products.